Welcome to What You Didn't Hear, the podcast where we dive into the overlooked stories that happened on the same days as history's biggest events. While the world was watching one headline, countless other stories quietly unfolded, some fascinating, some tragic, and some that changed lives in ways we've never heard about. In each episode, I'll take you beyond the front page and shine a light on the moments history forgot, because every day holds more than one story. I'm Zane Gould, and let's get into what you didn't hear until now.
Hey, check it out. Back it up. Yeah. Drop it down. Make it shake. Ow! History. Yeah.
We are going to start August 20th, way back in 480 BC, with the Battle of Thermopylae. During the Greco-Persian War, the storm that was Xerxes' fleet made landfall in Greece in the Malayan Gulf, where they had to take the pass of Thermopylae into the mainland and were met by a coalition of various Greek forces estimated at around 7,000 men. The invading Persian army has been reported to number in the millions, while it should be noted that modern historians place their number somewhere between 120,000 to 300,000. Still, the difference is staggering, and the Battle of Thermopylae is a great example of the advantage one side has when it's fighting on its home turf and defending its homeland. On the third day of the battle, Xerxes' forces were shown a path around the pass of Thermopylae by a traitor named Ephialtes, and the Persians were able to outflank the defending Greek forces. Aware of the oncoming onslaught, King Leonidas of Sparta formed a rear guard with 300 Spartans, 700 Thespians, 900 Helots, and 400 Thebans. Prior to the battle, the Oracle of Delphi had predicted that either Sparta would fall or King Leonidas would be slain. It is possible that this prediction is what brought the Spartan king to his decision to stay and fight to the death, while the rest of the Grecian forces successfully retreated. Jumping forward 482 years to the year 2 AD, the earliest reported conjunction of Venus and Jupiter, which is often referred to as the Star of Bethlehem. The conjunction occurs about every 3 years and 3 months, but is most easily visible when it occurs at night. If astronomy interests you, I would recommend looking into the next time you can watch this event. August 20th, in the year 1000, Hungary is established as a Christian kingdom by Stephen I of Hungary, which is to this day celebrated as State Foundation Day in Hungary. Following the siege of Acre in the year 1191, King Richard the Lionheart orders the execution of 2,000 Muslim prisoners in what is referred to as the Massacre at Acre. Mid-voyage on his path to circumnavigate the world in 1578, Francis Drake renames his galleon the Pelican to the Golden Hind in honor of his patron, Sir Christopher Hatton. While the word hind is often used to refer to the butt, and I personally was hoping that that's what the name of the ship was referring to, in this case it is referring to Sir Christopher Hatton's crest of a golden female deer. I imagine the name could be taken either way, though, for my own enjoyment. A reference to the wealth of Sir Hatton that his hind quarters are made of gold. In 1612, at Lancaster Castle, in England, the Lancashire witch trials take place where 9 women and 2 men, known as the Pendle Witches, were tried for charges of murder, witchcraft, and talking to dogs, which is, of course, a crime. One of the women tried was acquitted, and the rest of the accused were hanged at Lancaster Castle. In 1741, on August 20th, the first sighting of Alaska is reported by a Russian expedition led by Danish explorer Vitus Bering. This Vitus Bering is the same explorer that the Bering Sea, Bering Island and Bering Strait in the northern Pacific Ocean are named after. Additionally, Vitus Bering is buried on Bering Island in Russia. Vitus Bering was appointed by the Tsar of Russia to lead an expedition to determine if the Asian continent and North American continent were connected by land. Their voyage across the Bering Sea departed from the Serbian peninsula of Kamchatka. However, rough weather kept the Russian naval officer from a good observation of the Alaskan coastline, but Vitus Bering concluded that Serbia and America were not joined. In an attempt to return to Serbia, Bering would suffer from a severe case of scurvy, and the St. Paul was wrecked off the coast of Bering Island in early November of 1741, where Vitus would find his final resting place. Shifting from Russia to North America, in 1781, General George Washington, accompanied by French forces under Comte de Rochambeau, began the march south to fight British General Cornwallis in Yorktown. The strategic goal of the Franco-American army of 17,000 marching on Yorktown was to trap General Cornwallis's troops and lay siege to the coastal city in Virginia. I have personally been to Yorktown on multiple occasions, and there is an incredible trail that you can drive along and see all the different key strategic positions for the battles that took place during the American Revolutionary War. I highly recommend it. In 1858, Rudolf Virchow publishes medical text titled Cellular Pathology in Berlin, which would establish the basis for modern medical science. In 1866, President Andrew Johnson issues Proclamation 157, declaring the insurrection of Texas over, which officially marks the end of the U.S. Civil War. On August 20th, 1882, Tchaikovsky debuts the 1812 Overture under a tent outside the unfinished Cathedral of Christ the Savior in Moscow. Both the overture and the cathedral memorialize the Russian defense against the French invasion of 1812, led by Napoleon Bonaparte. The 1812 overture became one of Tchaikovsky's most popular works, in the ranking with his ballet scores to The Nutcracker, The Sleeping Beauty, and Swan Lake. In December of 1907, the Great White Fleet departs from Virginia to embark on a 43,000-mile journey that would visit 6 continents and make 20 port calls, spanning 14 long months at sea, to showcase the strength of the U.S. Navy. On August 20th of 1908, the Great White Fleet arrives in Australia for a port call, and 221 sailors are reported deserters that never returned to their ships after their port call. I myself have circumnavigated the globe aboard a U.S. Navy ship, and modern ships definitely have better amenities than a ship from the early 1900s. But if I can add my own opinion to a piece of history, being out to sea for long spans of time is never easy, and often you do not realize how hard it is until your port call. In 1913, Adolphe Pagode is the first pilot to parachute from an aircraft using a sacrificial aircraft. As he descended with his parachute, he watched as his plane pitched upward and performed a loop before plummeting to the ground. Once on the ground, he told reporters, "I have seen it, alone, looping the loop. So you see that this is possible, and I will try." In September of the same year, Pagode would successfully perform the loop, and was believed to be the first pilot to accomplish this. However, Pyotr Nestorov had performed an aerobatic loop 9 days prior. 2 years later, while intercepting a German reconnaissance aircraft during World War I, Pagode would be shot down and killed by a German pilot who he himself had trained, Otto Kendolski. Once word of who the pilot was that had been shot down, the German aviators dropped a funeral wreath behind the French line to pay their respects for the French pilot. 1975, Viking 1 launches from Cape Canaveral Air Force Station to begin its half-billion-mile voyage to Mars, where it would orbit the alien world. And sticking with the theme of voyages, mounted atop the Titan Centaur 7 launch vehicle, Voyager 2 launches on the same day in 1977. Voyager 2's mission was to pass by first the gas giants Jupiter and Saturn, then the ice giants Uranus and Neptune. Passing by Uranus, Voyager 2 discovered 10 new moons and 2 new rings. As Voyager 2 passed by Neptune, it found 5 new moons, including Triton, with evidence of volcanic activity on Neptune's satellite. In 2018, Voyager 2 would join Voyager 1 in interstellar space, exploring out beyond our solar system at a speed of 34,391 miles per hour, or 15 kilometers per second. The Voyager mission is ongoing, with both spacecraft still sending back data about the conditions of deep space. And to end this incredible day in history, in 1991 Japan, Naoko Takeuchi first publishes what would become one of the most popular mangas, Japanese graphic novels and comics, of all time, codename Sailor V, which would later that year be adapted to Sailor Moon in the Nakayoshi manga magazine from 1991 to 1997. The Sailor Moon anime series would begin the following year in Japan and would release in the United States in 1995. And now it's time for Blind Date Through Time, the only dating show where our contestant, you, flirts with mystery and history to find a timeless connection. Here is this week's mysterious profile. Age, 19. Location, somewhere between the battlefield and the heavens. Height, petite, but don't underestimate me. Occupation, warrior, visionary, occasional saint. Some say I hear voices, others say I hear destiny. I come from a small village, but I don't think small. I led armies before I could legally drink mead. I'm guided by visions, driven by purpose, and unafraid to challenge the world or anyone who underestimates me. I've been burned before, literally. But like any good mystery, I came back stronger in spirit. I'm not here for games, unless they involve prophecy, strategy, or medieval intrigue. If you have a guess of who this week's mystery profile is, leave it in the comments below. Okay, that's all I had for today. If you liked this episode, please leave a review or comment, like, subscribe, and tune in next time for What You Didn't Hear.